Ever wonder what a tradition that's over 1,400 years old has to say about your life, right here, right now? Well, we're about to find out. We're going to dive into 10 incredibly powerful lessons from Islamic teachings that offer guidance not just for this life, but for the one that comes next.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We've got 4 parts to our journey today. First, we'll lay the foundations of faith. Then, we'll look at a blueprint for living. After that, we get to the heart of the matter. And we'll wrap it all up with the ultimate perspective on this life and the next. Okay, first things first, foundations of faith. You see, before we can even get into the what of these teachings, we really have to understand the why behind them. So we're going to start with the historical roots and the proofs that are said to be the bedrock of these beliefs. So this whole idea of divine guidance, it's not seen as something new. Think of it more like an ancient, unbroken chain that stretches all the way back to the dawn of humanity. Islamic tradition teaches that prophets like Sheeth or Seth, the son of Adam, were receiving divine scriptures, setting up this long legacy of communication between the Creator and us. Now, that brings up a really fascinating question, right? Think about it. In an age with no internet, no phones, no instant anything, how could someone possibly know the details of something happening hundreds of miles away, literally as it was happening? Well, here's a pretty stunning example. During the Battle of Mu'tah, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was standing in the city of Medina. And from there, he began describing the battle to his companions in real time. He told them which leaders were falling, how the battle was turning, all while it was taking place miles and miles away. For believers, this is seen as just undeniable proof of knowledge coming from a divine source. Okay, so let's shift gears and move into our second part. We've laid the foundation, and now we're going to build on it with a practical blueprint for living. The big question here is, how does all that belief translate into what we do every single day? A huge piece of this blueprint is the idea of halal income. Now, this isn't just a good idea or a suggestion. It's considered a fardh, and that means it's a fundamental, non-negotiable religious duty. The idea is that earning your living in a way that's lawful and ethical is the very bedrock of a believer's entire economic life. And this guidance can get really practical, right down to our weekly routines. For instance, there's something called a sunnah, which is basically a tradition from the Prophet's own life for what to do after the Big Friday prayer. And it's so simple and, honestly, so refreshing. First, share a meal together to build community. And second, take a short midday rest, known as Qayloola, just to recharge your batteries. It doesn't stop at community and rest either. This guidance also covers our physical well-being. I mean, listen to this powerful prophetic saying. It points to the black seed, which you might know as kalunji, as a source of healing for almost everything. It really points to this holistic view where your faith and your physical health are deeply connected. All right, for part 3, let's turn our focus inward. We're going to the heart of the matter. Because while our actions are definitely important, the teachings make it super clear that what's going on inside, our intentions, our inner character, is every bit as crucial. And you know, sometimes the most profound spiritual acts are the simplest ones. So remember we talked about Fardh being an obligation? Well, there's also Nafl, which is like a voluntary act of worship you do for extra reward. And one of the key examples given for this is just showing love and mercy to children. It's a beautiful reminder that simple, heartfelt compassion is a powerful form of worship. But it's not all just about the positive traits. Just as faith encourages us to build good character, it also gives us some really stark warnings about the destructive stuff. So, what are some of the major character flaws that we're told to avoid at all costs? The teaching on this is incredibly direct. It lays out 3 crystal clear signs of a hypocrite, which is considered a major sin. Number 1, they lie when they speak. 2, they break their promises. And 3, they betray any trust that's placed in them. And these aren't just seen as, social mistakes. They're considered deep spiritual sicknesses that poison your character. So what's the antidote to that? Well, as a powerful counterpoint, you've got this incredible verse from the Qur'an. This is like the ultimate gold standard for integrity. To stand for justice, period. Not just when it's easy, not when it benefits you, but even if it means you have to testify against yourself or your own family. It's a huge test of character, especially when you believe you're going to be held accountable for every choice. And that idea of accountability brings us perfectly to our final section, this life and the next. This is where we zoom all the way out to get the ultimate perspective, to understand how our daily lives fit into a much bigger picture. The Qur'an uses this really powerful comparison over and over. This world we're in right now, the dunya, it's often described as being temporary, almost like a game or a brief amusement. But the hereafter, the Aakhirah, that is presented as the real deal, the true and everlasting home. And that perspective is meant to completely reframe your priorities.
This all leads to the concept of accountability, which is believed to begin right after death. Tradition holds that every single person is asked 3 fundamental questions in the grave. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? And who is your prophet? And here's the kicker. The answers aren't just words you memorized. The answers are a reflection of the life you actually lived.
And that brings our journey to a close. We've gone from ancient proofs to daily routines, from inner character to the ultimate destination. So I guess the only real question left is this. As you move forward from here, which of these lessons is going to guide your next step?